Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. And today I was talking online with Darcy Perry, um, amazing sculptor, artist, and then pretty strong game designer. But he's got a unique characteristic that carries over to both his artistic side and his game designer writing side. And he's got a quirky sense of humor. Okay. And it got me thinking that I've seen successful RPG products that fit into that humorous level, and I've seen ones that simply flat out fucking fail, right? So up on the screen you see what's going on. It's a live Kickstarter. The Banshee of Bilfort, a DuckQuest RPG adventure zine. I think I'm saying that right. Fucks. So in any case, this is only available in digital, as Darcy says. If you want it in print, support your local printer, your local print shop. But it's already hit gold. But what's interesting about DuckQuest? If you've seen any of Darcy's, by the way, that cover is awesome, right? And that cover speaks. If you look at it, and you look at the art, and you're like, all right, this action it's not taking itself too seriously. You almost, in this case, I get a vibe of like one of those early Scooby Doo episodes. And if that's the feel of what you want, then you know what you're getting, right? And I've always felt, listen, back in the day, I had a great time running Paranoia. Paranoia was a humorous game. But it wasn't. It also had a serious element because you were also backstabbing half the party with all the different secret societies that were going on. But it didn't work well as, in my opinion, a campaign. We played two or three sessions with the same characters and took a break, came back to it 6 months later. Humorous RPGs or humorous RPG sessions are a great way to break up, and it's not monotony, right? Because you're having fun, but that change of pace can do a great job at rebooting everybody. And I am, as my fellow players will know from the games that I've been in, I've got a quirky sense of humor, whether it's as a DM or as a player. And I have to hold myself back sometimes because I'll be cracking stupid jokes. But I always find that it's the same thing I used to do when I was on patrol as a cop. That level of um, keeping, before they get too edgy to bring it back, is not something that everybody can do. But Duck Quest is a well written, quirky, slap you in the face kind of. These aren't. It's inspired by probably the ducks in RuneQuest. Yeah, but I always thought the ducks in RuneQuest were inspired by Howard the Duck, and Howard the Duck. You could see the influence here. But why am I again? Why am I bringing this up? Because if it's done well, and I was looking over the rules for DuckQuest because Darcy was nice enough to forward me a PDF, and the character generation rules are simple, but they're even written in a way that is not just humorous, but it's inspiring as to how to play the game just by the way the rules are written. Right? You don't often find that, but you kind of found some of that back in the Paranoia days, at least the first edition rules. You know, those rules were heavy ass and broken, but you didn't care because you just fixed them as the game went along because it was more, just kept the action going, right? These rules look like they're going to work, and the game rules are written for this. I personally think if you're going to go and play humorous, something like this or classic Ghostbusters, right, which inspired the D6 system, um, you keep it simple. Tune, right? You keep it simple where the rules kind of get forgotten and the gameplay takes precedence. Where I think this falls apart, okay, was when we step away from this and we go to something like World of Greyhawk, Castle Greyhawk. Now, look at that cover. That's a Parkinson cover. I look at that cover and I go, all right, that's going to be an excellent adventure, right? That's exciting. And honestly, Castle Greyhawk, that's the cover. It's for 1E. I'm at the Complete Strategist, or I'm at Barnes& and Noble. I need an adventure, and this is for approved for the use with AD&D game rules. All right, this is AD&D, and it's in the World of Greyhawk, and look at that fucking cover. And then I'll get to the back of the cover, and it's going to say up for levels like 0 to 25. I'll be like, oh, that's it. And do I read the blurb? Probably not. But even if you read the blurb, I don't know if it would sink in. Because this adventure purportedly concerns Castle Greyhawk. Most fans of the setting consider it to be a joke module. In 1990, TSR released a more definitive and serious treatment of the castle itself. Okay. Fan reception, this thing was mixed. Everybody I knew that dealt with this and the fucking gummy bears and other stupid shit in this adventure felt like they were robbed of their good money. I felt like that. It was 1988. I was 21, working a part-time job, going to college full-time. Your gaming money didn't go far, especially if you had a girlfriend and were collecting compliments at the time. Oh my God. So if you spent money on this because you thought it was going to be a real adventure, and then you find out it isn't a real adventure, some interpret the publication as being a direct insult to Gary Gygax, who had recently left TSR in a dispute over ownership of the company, and by extension to early fans of the setting and D&D players in general. Okay. There's also some thought that, now here, this would be more in keeping with a bad episode of Scooby-Doo than a dungeon crawl, because that's Colonel Sanders, the Pillsbury Doughboy, the cast of Star Trek, and others. It's silly. It's over the top. It's not usable, right? You don't, and I'm not saying that there aren't places for silly adventures in D&D, but naming it Castle Greyhawk when people think it's going to be serious, and then you get something that isn't, and it's got names that you can look through this. Rick Swan, Paul Jacques, Ray Winnegar, Steve Perrin. There are people involved in this project. And again, it's got a Keith Parkinson cover. It isn't a funny cover, right? It's not a ha 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 cover. So a lot of us felt this was a bait and switch. And if you're going to do humor in your adventure in your game, don't bait and switch. Like I said, DuckQuest. I'll leave a link for the DuckQuest Kickstarter here for the zine. It's also you can also back for the PDF of the game rules. There's no bait and switch. You look at that cover, you've got a pretty good idea what you're going to get, right? It's going to be some over the top fantasy role playing with ducks or possibly a squirrel. I see a squirrel PC in there. They don't restrict you. It really it sets the plate and it tells you what you're going to get. And sometimes you do want to have something that isn't fine dining. You want something that's a bit more, I don't know, less intense, more free flowing, and kind of slapstick. Some of the best sessions I ever played in were tune sessions because we just went with it and enjoyed it. Right? Paranoia, what a great game. DuckQuest, I could see myself running this with my group, and I can't see myself running a long campaign with it. But for me, I like my humor in short and in fairly intense doses, and then you move on to something more serious. And then when you're ready to clean the palate, you come back to the humor in a very intense dose. But I'd like to know what your thoughts are on humor in games. And is it best to throw on your players unexpectedly? Hey, we're going to do a funhouse adventure. And there's some things that cross over, right? There's some things that have quirkiness and a little humor, but it's overall serious. But then there's a little bit of what's behind the wall, the fourth dimension. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. it's an interesting. I think it's an interesting topic because we all like humor, right? But there's a time and a place for it. If you know this is the time and the place, I'm pointing in the wrong direction because the orientation of this always screws me up. But if you know this is what you're playing, you can gear up for it and enjoy it. But if you think you're going to be playing a heroic adventure and it's all farce, you're going to have disappointed players. And in my case, I disappointed consumer when I bought this shit. Still have it somewhere. I probably should reread it just to torture myself. All right, folks. On that note, we are still in the midst of the world of the pandemic. What does that mean? Quite simply, what it means is usually common sense. Are things improving? Are they getting better? Hey, New York State opened up. You wouldn't know, but it pretty much has opened up. I actually sat down at a Five Guys today and ate in. First time Rich and I have eaten in a fast food restaurant in well over 2 years, and didn't have to show any proof of vaccination. What's the world coming to? Um, Other than that, be safe, be well, God bless for all those dice, and God willing, I will be back again tomorrow. Wednesday. Oh, shoot. We have to tell our special guest our special guest for Wednesday. Live stream, 8 p.m. Mike and myself. We will have a top notch special. Oh, they're all top notch special guests, but we're going to have a good surprise. Well, not a surprise if you've been following along at home. All right, folks. I have no idea what just happened there. Oh, that's a sneak peek, folks. I can't tell you what that means. All right. On that note, I'm out of here.